Spoken Labour.
I went to sleep that night without knowing that it would be the last night I ever spent in that bed at my parents' house in London. Meredith, my mum shook me awake. The room was dark, making it obvious it wasn't morning yet, or not time to get up for school anyway. Mum, I mumbled in my half-asleep state. It's time to go. Everything I told you about those stories is true. It's time for you to leave us so you can train to be a protector. Your dad and I, we've done everything we possibly can to prepare you.
First Charge is the first book in the Destiny Initiative series by Amanda Steele. The book can be purchased in paperback from Amazon. The ebook can also be purchased on Kindle, Kobo, Apple Books and many others. Spoken Label. Thank you today for tuning in to Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up at the beginning of 2016 and as of recording has over 200 sessions in our archive. Although the podcast can be heard on Anchor, iTunes, Apple, Spotify, YouTube and literally 10 or 11 other networks, the full archive can be found at Spoken Label, and all one word, spokenlabel.bandcamp.com. On Bandcamp, it is set as pay what you want, so you are entitled, if you wish, you can download it or stream it for nothing. But if you throw me a couple of pennies my way, it is always eternally grateful to help me maintain the operating costs and future running costs of this podcast. Enjoy. Spoken Label. Hi guys, Andy N, Spoken Label, back in the house and we're on Zoom today, again of course. And we're in one of my favourite places today, actually. Well, we're not, but I'm chatting to a writer from that. A few people know I love the area of Brighton. So when this one chance came up to chat with a young lady the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I just jumped to it straight away. The book interested me. And also she's actually living in an area called Hove. Now, Hove is next door to Brighton. And I kind of done an awful lot of gigs around there and writing bits and pieces over the years. So it's a pleasure to chat to somebody back from that area. So, Ayshen, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are. Tell us a little bit about your journey as a writer. And obviously, I know you're living in Hove, so take it from there.
So thank you so much for having me on today as well. This has been a really exciting opportunity. I've been really looking forward to it since we arranged it.
For you.
So yes, I'm Ayshen and I'm a born and bred Brightonian. And I first started writing when I was really young. I mean, I think I started dabbling in writing when I was before double digits, but then my first book came out when I was late 11, early 12. It was called The Melancholy Killer. It was about vampires and werewolves, and one of the main characters was a garden gnome
oh, wow.
who ended up saving the day.
That's original straight away. So
it was so random.
Sounds like completely that one. So what made you want to write a book at that age? Because I don't hear stories of people writing novels, certainly when you're 11 and 12, unless you're really disciplined.
I just really love literature. I mean, reading and writing. And when I was younger, when I first started properly reading, I was probably about 8, and I just would inhale books like air. I would go through maybe one novel a day, and I was just reading constantly. And it got to the point where I was just like, I have to write my own. And so I did. It wasn't very good though, obviously.
Oh, of course. Did you get it published, did you? Or is that in the archives, as I would say?
I did self-publish it, and then I recently unpublished it because I've decided to rewrite it and post it for free on Wattpad.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah. Wattpad's a really good platform for that sort of stuff. So not one I tend to use, but yeah, I know of it. So how far into the rewrites are you with it then? Or is it one to be completed, is it?
It's very, very early days because we've got 2 other things I'm working on and college essays to do. So
and sleep, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get much of that anymore with all of this stuff.
Oh God, yeah, no, it's at the moment crazy day. So yeah, now we're here today really to talk about your first film. I can't say first novel, or should we say your first adult novel? Is that better then?
Yeah.
Okay, The Fire Within My Heart, which is book 1 in the Scarlet Sherry vampire series. So obviously, I know a bit about your background. We'll come on to that in a moment. But tell people obviously where the idea of this book came from.
It's also, I really love vampires and the occult and sort of gothic fiction. And so I was very much inspired by that, and sort of that's where I got the ideas for like the species of the characters, I suppose. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I was at work and we weren't having a particularly busy time, and I needed something to do, so I just started writing it really haphazardly.
Oh, it's got to be done.
It became a real thing.
Oh wow, no, it goes that way sometimes between us and obviously the world. Like it's got 2 years ago, I used to do temping, and I temped over once at a reception, an area, that place I won't name. I was there for 4 months, and I think I wrote about 40 poems in 4 months there. So I know exactly what you mean by that. So you do, it's like if it gets quiet, then it's a secret obviously between us two and the world. But I used to find like frequently that you used to just scribble basically. So I got a chance. I presume you were the same basically then, weren't you? So
yeah.
Why not, as I would say. So for that one. So how long did the book take you to write? Was it quite a quick process? Was it this book or?
I think actually writing it was quite quick. I think I started writing it in April and it was finished in August.
That's not bad. It's not bad, Dan. That's, I guess, a very good process, because I don't know what you're like. I'm in a few so-called writer support groups on Facebook, and it cracks me and Amanda up, my partner, when we see people go on there and say, "Oh, we've wrote a novel in 2 weeks," and we're just.
Oh no! Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine doing that personally.
I know, it's like your case. You said about 4 or 5 months. I think it's not a bad price. Not bad going there, because I know when Amanda writes her novels, we're talking about her One Four Goes to Me, and I know she did that in about 5 or 6 months. She did so I think she's just started a sequel to it now, actually. So, like I said, but it's like I think 5 6 months. If you're well versed in it, you know what you're doing. I guess that's a fair base, actually. So that way straight away. So that one straight away. No, excellent. So now, do you want to tell people obviously a bit about the book so we can give a teaser?
Of course. So it follows the main character Scarlet, and basically as she becomes a vampire. So book 1 is very much focused on her sort of evolution into becoming a vampire and the changes that come with that, as well as her developing relationships for firstly the person who turned her, and then a group of other supernatural creatures who she befriends. And the plot is basically to hunt down the man who murdered her.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because he keeps killing more people, so they have to try and stop him.
All right. So the guy that just clarify people, obviously, the guy that murdered her, is he a vampire then, or is he just a killer?
No, he's not. He's just a nasty man.
Right. God, yeah. No, fair play. No, so he's got brought back. He's got brought back to life as a vampire. Yeah, I think it's a good premise. That could look definitely. So how have you found the reaction to your book so far? I know you've had. So I was looking at your Amazon page before, and you've had quite a few good ratings in this book as well.
Yes, no, I have had good reviews actually. I mean, not many people have read it because obviously everything's done entirely by myself, and I can't particularly afford marketing or anything, so it's not the easiest to get it out there per se. But the people who have read it have generally been really supportive of it, which makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, completely. You find like it's hard nowadays in some ways to actually get, if you're trying to do a book by yourself like that, the self-marketing, it's one of the difficult things going. And like I know about myself, because I've no approach books, it's trying to self-market, it's just plain difficult. So like I said, I'm sure you found that yourself. Have you done any readings to support the book, have you?
No, nothing like that.
Oh, we're the first. Spoken Label's your first one, then, basically, is it? So. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Oh, brilliant. No, good luck with definitely that. So now, before obviously we talk about what plans you've got for the future with this book, I know you've got a big interest in magic, haven't you? And obviously in witches itself. So, and I think that what I can understand, this is quite a major element of this book itself, isn't it?
Yes, no, it is. So I have been a practitioner of witchcraft for about a decade, on and off, because I was young a decade ago. I was only 10. But but on and off. And I really did try to incorporate a lot of kind of real witchcraft in it. So there is a witch in it, and when she discusses nature and the elements and about sort of energy and power of intention, that is coming from genuine experience and knowledge from my own practice, and also knowledge from other witches that I speak, because I have a witches group on Facebook that I run and have read many a book on it. So it's kind of real.
So what obviously made you want to get into witchcraft originally then? And obviously that magic side of things. Again, obviously, like I said, I can tell from your first book you told before, we did have you 11 and 12, didn't you? So is it like, was this in your background growing up then, really? Was it, or was this something you stumbled across when you were very young?
It was sort of just something I stumbled across. So I think I've just always grown up with a real reverence for nature. And then I discovered this craft, which a lot of the main focus is about nature and the earth and the elements and the power of the elements and our connection to them. And because I'm a secular witch, so I don't actually believe in the gods or goddesses, I just very much believe in our energy and our connection to the earth and our relationship with the things around us in that way.
Brilliant. No, that sounds really, really fascinating indeed, that. So, like I said, where you're obviously living in Brighton itself, Brighton is, anyone doesn't know, it's an incredibly artistic town, a local town or city itself. And it's like, I know that when I used to go around there, because I used to have some gigs around Brighton before now, over at, it's going to annoy me now, a couple of theatres on the lanes. And I know that you can get all kinds of little groups around there and bits and pieces. And that's why I think you find living in the area that you are, this is a very encouraging, very supportive for your sort of beliefs like that.
Oh, definitely. It's such a good area. If you're a little bit out there, then Brighton is definitely the place to be.
Oh yeah, completely with that. It's just a marvellous area to live in. Expensive, but a marvellous area to live in. That's for sure with it. So, brilliant. Good luck with that, definitely. So, and obviously, like, if people are wondering, then obviously your background as a witch and the magic is then portrayed quite heavily into your book, then basically, isn't it?
It is, but then also things that I don't really believe in. So, like, there's a necromancer in it who's one of the main characters as well, and his necromancy, I did loads of research onto real necromancy and how people actually used to do it sort of back in the day. Back in the day meaning like medieval times.
Yeah, not like last year or 10 years ago, just to clarify.
And so when he's doing a ritual, his necromantic ritual, it is like based on genuine rituals that did happen. And he has an athame, like a ceremonial blade, and the runes on it are all genuine runes, and the material it's made from is a material associated with death and things. So I did really try, and even the elements of it that I don't believe in, I did try and make them have a basis in reality and history.
Yeah, I think is what you've done here is, correct me if you're wrong with this, I'm presuming here, like obviously you've done the research you went into this book went on for a couple of years, didn't it, really, before you actually sat down and wrote the book. That's what it sounds like straight away there.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think over the years I've accumulated quite a base knowledge of some of these things, but then it really did sort of go a lot more in depth with researching for my story.
Yeah, you can see it straight away with that. So you always say research is essential in any sort of book, basically. Now, yours is a prime example of that straight away, isn't it, really? So, oh, brilliant. Okay, I've not got a lot else I want to ask you about your book today, but I know, obviously, everyone looks at your website, it is listed as a series, and the first book's obviously out. So, am I right to presume there is a second book on the way?
Yes, there is. I have been bashing out a lot of it these last few days, particularly today. Actually, I have 6 books in the series planned, and I have them all completely planned out. The entire plot lines, all of the characters, the ins and outs of them. But yes, book 2 in the series is very, very close to the first draft being finished.
Oh, well done. Well done. So what are you looking at possibly getting this published this year then, are you?
I'm hoping to. I'm hoping in the summer, around the same time that The Fire Within My Heart came out. So about August.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good pace, that, really, because like I said, it's August, don't you? So, and you were hinting before, you've got another book in mind as well, haven't you?
I do. So it's it's very different from what I usually write because I've only ever written fantasy and usually vampire fantasy. And I've been working slowly on a contemporary romance,
Wow.
a lesbian contemporary romance. So
Wow.
completely different.
What's made you want to ever go around in different genre like that? Because that's, in a way, it's similar, isn't it? But I can see what you're getting at to a degree with it. But it's also quite different as well. So what's made you want to tackle a completely different genre?
Do you know, it's funny. We moved into a new flat recently, and I was in the foyer of it, and I just had this idea for like these two women who meet in a flat and they're neighbors, and it just sort of came to me. And originally one of them was going to be a vampire, and I was like, oh, it'll be another vampire thing. And then I was like, actually, I can make this a real sort of hard-hitting, slow burn romance, and it doesn't have to have any vampires in, which I might have never said before. But it was just a random burst of inspiration.
Brilliant. Now, I'm always a believer in writing. I think you've always got to try different things out all the time. Try different approaches out, and if you can, different genres. And I can't blame you for go and do one there. Definitely. So, great. So, is that quite a new project again, or is that one quite developed as well?
No, it's quite new. I think I'm only about 10,000 words into it. So, and it's just a very rough draft at the moment.
Yeah, that'll be obviously some time down the line then, basically, won't it? So, if you get it, good luck with definitely. So, now I just want to ask you a bit of a general question to conclude with here today. So, obviously, like we're still in the middle of lockdown at the moment, and how has your writing been affected by being in lockdown?
I mean, at first it was kind of almost helpful because it was like, oh, I have all this time to do creative things. But then I think the stress, and I don't think it's just me because I'm in the writing community on Twitter, and I think the stress for people has just continued to build, and now it has been quite a dampener to creativity. I don't think I'm alone in that one though, really. Have you found that too, or has it helped you?
It has been quite difficult. That's for sure of it, because I think when you're like, I'm on the poetry performance circuit in Manchester, and certainly prior to lockdown, me and Amanda, she's a poet as well as a novelist, we used to cover lots of different nights and meet people all the time. And when you're getting forced onto Zoom, it's a different sort of feel altogether. I think you find Ayshen, and like I've made quite a few friends off it actually, and it's interesting because it's different sort of relationships altogether you're building. And have you found the same yourself? That have you been forced onto Zoom and stuff?
Yes, I mean it has. It's been good in some ways. I'm not a particularly outgoing person, so not having to leave the house hasn't been particularly hard. But also, even I have got to the point where I'm like, I miss people. I can't wait to things to reopen and to go to a live music event and just hug my friends.
Oh yeah, completely. I know what you mean by that, because I know Brighton where you are, and I know we're wandering a bit here, but it is what it is. But I know my mate Tom, he went over to Brighton just for Christmas to go and see his ex-boyfriend, and he told me basically, I think you were in a tier 2, if I remember is correct, weren't you? But you went to tier 4, then complete lockdown. Manchester's been in like tier 3 and 4 since the full beginning of it. So we've been in full lockdown for nearly a year now. So
really?
Yeah, it's not been easy, that's for sure. When they lifted all the restrictions slightly end of last summer. I remember we lasted about a month, and we went over to see my parents in Stretford immediately. Then we went to attempt to get to go see Amanda's family over in Bradford. That's a story another day now. But yeah, but then after that, lockdown kicked in again. So it's not been easy, that's for sure with it. So
no,
that's why. But it's I think in some ways I've managed to keep my writing ticking along, but I think after a while paranoia is creeping into people. And I think you probably feel like, do you feel like it's impacting your writing to a degree?
I think so. I think it's a kind of a difficult one because I find sometimes I'm fine with it, and then I'll have these days where I'm just exceptionally stressed and anxious about what's going on, and then I fall into this whole thing of just having no energy, and I don't really write for a while. So I've had writer's block for about a month now. This has been the first week I've really bashed out endless words, and it's been amazing.
I think it does. Oh, it does. It just gives you that energy rush, doesn't it? So and encourage you definitely to get going. I know what you mean with it. It does, like I'm writing a lot slower and longer from the poetry. That's the show of it. But it's down to the fact I've got the day job really, and it's just trying to tick along the outside things. I've all got the stuff on the go, so it's just pretty busy at the minute. So in different ways. So yeah. But anyway, we'll conclude the chat bit now for you, Ayshen. So we'll let you get prepared to read out your extract for us. Now, if people want to find out more about you, Ayshen, where would the best go in?
Oh, probably my Twitter, to be honest. It's got the link to my website and a free story that's on Wattpad and every other social media I have. But I'm very communicative with people on Twitter, so be the best place.
Sounds good to me. Well, I've got your Twitter details. I can log it out for people afterwards. So sounds great to me. Then. So right, okay. We'll let you get composed. Take a quick deep breath and pause the recording, and we'll be back in a minute, everybody. See you in a moment.
Okay.
Spoken, mate. Hi, guys. Okay. I'm still here with Ayshen, and she's going to read out an extract from one of her works now. Go for it, Ayshen.
Okay, so I've chosen an extract that's it's actually quite far towards the end, and it's got quite a lot of dialogue between two of the main characters, Gwydion and Nicolaus, who definitely have my favourite relationship in the book because it's very love-hate.
What, mostly hate or does love hate?
They say mostly hate, but I don't think anyone believes them. But yeah. Okay, so no, Scarlet, save your sanity. It is so easy to lose and almost impossible to regain once lost, Gwydion said gently. Trust me when I say you do not need to see such horrors. I speak only of what is best for you. Are you implying I do not? Nicolaus asked, the first threads of rehashed anger forcing through the words. Gwydion locked hostile eyes on Nicolaus. Implying? No, Nicolaus. I thought I was being quite explicit. You are just as selfish and reckless as you were 4 centuries ago. Is this what power does to you? Does it send you into a state of madness where you lose all sagacity? I would do nothing to harm Scarlet. Surprisingly, Gwydion responded with, I believe you, that you would never cause harm to your lover willfully. What do you mean by that? Nicolaus's French accent got thicker with anger, so much so it was almost hard to understand him clearly. I mean that your power is pernicious, and whether you like it or not, you have the typical vampire mentality of thinking with fangs before mind. Recklessness has no consideration for its iniquity. It looked as though Nicolaus were about to respond, but Gwydion continued, You have no mind for consequences. This decapitated carcass leaves us all in a quandary. Did you spare a moment to consider how this would affect our innocent Scarlet? Your penchant for sin will consume her unsullied mind. She is strong, Nicolaus said. Yes, I do not deny that, but she is strong in ways you will never be. You are jaded with age, insensible to evil. She, he motioned to me, has the clemency, compassion of a human. I doubt you can recall what it means to take the burden of empathy. Yes.
Beautiful. That was beautifully read, that, Ayshen. Really beautifully read that. So, yeah, it's good to have this very good extract read from your book, that as well. It's really engaging. So, good luck with it, definitely. So, and keep us informed when the next book comes. I certainly would love to have you on again spoken language at some point in the future, definitely. So,
that'd be lovely.
We'll chat. We'll don't watch your space. We'll have this young lady on again, I promise you. So, right, Ayshen. Well, thank you for today. Hang around. I need to speak to you off mic. It's been a pleasure today. We really enjoyed this today.
Thank you so much. This has been really lovely.
It has indeed. So, okay, guys and girls, as Don Callis says in Impact Wrestling, stay safe and stay over. We'll see you all soon. Spoken, mate.